Good morning, Mrs. Smith. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. So today we're going to talk about Sarah's General Test of Achievement Scores. A General Test of Achievement Scores assess what your child has learned from instruction this year. So the top portion of this test has the demographic information of your child and when and where they took the test, which was this past March.
Okay, I see.
So the first box shows us the norm reference information.
What's a norm reference information?
So norm reference test information gives us the information of how students' scores compare with other students in a norm group.
Oh, what's a norm group?
A norm group is a group of students from across the nation that took the test before it was released. So we have a set of scores to compare our students' scores with to those other scores. Now, the General Test of Achievement is broken into subtests. As you can see here, is there anything that looks unfamiliar to you?
What is basic battery? What is that?
Okay, so basic battery refers to core subjects such as reading, math, language, and spelling.
Oh, okay, I see.
Okay, so I'm going to explain one score from the norm reference box because it will take a lot of time to explain every single score and I don't want to keep you here all day.
Okay.
Anyhow, I'm also going to give you this sheet to take home.
Okay.
And it tells you how to read the scores, and you can always email me if you have any further questions.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's go over the language score box right here. This column here tells us the total number of items then there were in a section, so 45. The next column tells us the raw score, or the number of items she scored correctly. In this case, she scored 41. That means she got 41 out of 45 correct.
Okay.
So I agree with this number because in my classroom she's doing really well in language, as you can see here on the portfolio.
Okay, I see.
If we keep looking to the right, we show the national percentiles. She has an 81 in this column.
Okay.
That she scored in the 81st percentile or performed better than 81% of students in the norm group.
Okay.
If we take a look at the bell curve, percentiles are shown here, 1 through 99. So most students in the norm group scored right here, right in the middle, but Sarah scored here in the 81%.
That's great.
Okay, so let's move on to the next column of the scaled score. The scaled score also shown in the bell curve right here. It is measured from 100 to 900, and Sarah got a 570. Again, most of the students score here in the middle, around the 500 mark. But Sarah scored here at the 570. So it's still within the range where most students score.
Okay, that's good.
All right, so lastly, in this column, it shows us the percentile bands. Okay.
What are percentile bands?
Okay. Every test has its errors, whether they be internally on the test or student-related. Maybe a student was sick, hungry, cold, and didn't give the test his or her best. So percentile bands give the room for those errors. For this test, the standard error of measurement is plus or minus, which is right here. For Sarah, she scored in the 81st percentile in language, which means that if she were to take this test again and again, she would score anywhere between the 78th and the 84th percentile each time. So that's what this band represents.
Okay, got it.
All right, so if there are no more questions about the norm reference information, let's move on to the bottom box information.
Okay.
This is right here. This is the criterion referenced information.
Okay, what is criterion reference information?
So the criterion reference information is the content area broken up into like details. This is more helpful to me as a teacher because I can see how Sarah is performing a specific skill.
Okay, I understand.
So before I begin explaining a few scores, are there any content clusters that look unfamiliar to you?
I guess I would like to know, what do y'all test in geometry?
So in geometry, we work on problems pertaining to perimeter, area, angles, and lines, things of that nature.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to start off by explaining a good score, like punctuation. The first column is the raw score, RS, which tells us how many questions Sarah got right. In this case, it was 10. The next number shows us the total number of question items that were in that content area, which is 11. So this means Sarah scored 10 out of 11.
That's really good.
Yes, it is. So next 3 columns just tell me whether she scored a low, medium, or a high medium in that content area. Here for punctuation, she scored high. I agree with this score because since the beginning of the school year, Sarah has shown much improvement in punctuation. If we compare her work samples back in September, right here is September, she uses punctuation marks and capital letters appropriately.
Okay, I see.
So another score she scored high in is vocabulary. She got a 16 out of 18 items correct. I also agree with this score because, as you can see, she's been using vocabulary words in the correct context, orally and written.
Okay, I also agree with that.
Okay, so now I'm going to show you a low score. For number facts, she scored 8 out of 12 possible items. This was marked as low. So I can agree with this score because she has been struggling a little bit with number facts in class. It's nothing too major we want to worry about, but we will continue to work on it throughout the year.
Okay, thank you.
And then let's go over numeration. She scored 11 out of 17, putting her in that low score. I agree with this score, again, because she often confuses the place value of numbers, but that's also something that we can continue to work on. Okay, and so a last score I want to show you is her life science score, which she scored a 7 out of 7, which is excellent. And she proves this in class by, she's excellent in her inquiry investigation with environmental science. She's on the ball. She knows what she's doing, and she's very engaged. So I can agree with that score, 7 out of 7, perfectly. I think that's it. Do you have any questions for me?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, so for weaknesses, I'm going to email you, or I can probably just send them home with Sarah. That way you can just work on her numeration and number facts. Something like games and just stuff of that nature that will help her.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.